Okay, today we're going to change out the throttle shaft seals on key and carburetors that were used on Honda CB350s, 450s, and 500s. If you have erratic idle, or you can't get the two carburetors to sync together correctly, or it idles really high, and when you try to idle it down to where it's supposed to idle, it dies. Those are all good signs that these throttle shaft seals inside here are shot. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to change them out. It's not that difficult. First, I always like to mark this throttle valve which way is up. That way I won't forget. Both carburetors are identical, so I'm just going to do one. They're both the same way. This is Japanese Industrial Standard, JIS. It's like a Phillips, only it's a Japanese Phillips. And the way you can tell if something is JIS is if there's a little dot right on the head, like right there. That's JIS. So you're going to want to use a JIS screwdriver. Now this is a number 1. This tool is from Motion Pro. It's 20 bucks. We're going to first take the screws out, and you kind of want to give it a little snap to get it started, because sometimes they can be tight, and if you just try to turn without giving it a little snap, you can possibly round out these heads. So we're just going to give her a little snap, just like that. Once it gets moving, it's not so bad. These do have, the back ends of these screws are flared a little bit so that they don't fall out. The factory flares them. So when you get towards the end of the screw, you might feel a little bit of resistance as you're unscrewing it. That one wasn't too bad. Okay. Yeah, you just want to give her a little twist, a little snap. Moderate pressure. You don't need to put a lot of pressure on, especially if you're using these JIS screwdriver. A normal Phillips, I used to use a normal Phillips, but they can be an issue if you have some really stubborn ones. These screws seem to be coming out okay, so no worries. Also, when you go to put it together, the flat side, there's two sides to the shaft, the flat side and then the non-flat side, which is going to be rounded. Oh yeah, see, there's a little bit of the material that came off the end of the screw right there. Anyways, you want to make sure that the flat side is facing out. Actually, you can't put the screw in any other way because the threads are to the back side. So next, what we want to do is we're going to take this nut off, but we want to make sure that none of the force or stress of pulling this nut off gets transferred to the shaft, because it can twist that shaft. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to gently grasp the throttle cable bracket. You don't have to have a lot of pressure on that. It's better off not to, because you don't want to bend these tabs too much. Just enough so that you're held in place, okay? And now the throttle plate isn't stuck against the carburetor or anything, so there's no stress on the throttle shaft, and you just take her loose. These nuts aren't real tight from the factory, so just like that, and take that guy off and the lock washer off. Okay, now you see how we're hooked on here and we're hooked here? That's our spring tension. As I slowly pull this up, it's going to come loose from these two flat sides, like that. And we're going to release our spring tension. See, it's only a quarter turn. There's not much to it. And then we'll just set him aside exactly like that, so remember how to put him back together. Okay, now that the pressure is off, now that that spring tension is off, we can open up the throttle valve. See, we got a little side-to-side play, and we're going to gently pull this out. Now, sometimes they come out gently, sometimes not so much. So sometimes you got to move them back and forth a little bit to get them out. Yeah, this one's a little tight. There she goes. Oh, and now I took my mark off. So we'll put the mark back on like so. Alright, we'll put him there. And now, make sure there isn't any little metal flakes on this shaft as you pull it out. And we're going to pull it straight out. Like so. Try not to twist it if you can. It's not so bad coming out twisting it, but if you put it in while twisting it, this slot here can hurt your new seals. Although this one, the seal doesn't slide. This seal's captured on the shaft, so it wouldn't matter on this particular carburetor because the other seal is going to be beyond that shaft. But on some carburetors, where both seals are captured, you don't want to twist that shaft when you put it in, because this edge and this edge is going to wreck your seals, your new seals. Okay, so there we're there. Now, what we're looking at is a metal. Yeah, look at this. This seal's already. Look at that. That's your seal right there. That's the felt, the deteriorated felt. Okay, what we have here is a little metal cup. Now what we're going to do is we're going to dig the seal out. Okay, like so. And peel it out from between the carburetor body and the cup. Try not to use your pick on the shaft inside there. You don't want to score that up. Okay, there's one of our seals. It's just a little piece of felt, but it's already, you can see it's damaged. It's just old. It happens. Okay, now that we've got this out, what I like to do is I built myself a little junky screwdriver that's got a lip on it. So I just go inside and just gently tilt the screwdriver and tilt that cup right out of there. Look at that. The cup isn't in very bad. They're not really tight in there. If you don't have a screwdriver like that, you could always use, you can go around with a small screwdriver like this and then just turn the screwdriver all the way around to pop it out. But, you know, who doesn't have a junky screwdriver laying around they can bend the end on? If you don't, that's fine. Okay, make sure this stuff's clean. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Not bad. Then we want to get our new seals, which, oh, there's my box of new seals, my bag of new seals. There's a nice one. Okay. And what we're going to do, because my seals are thicker than the factory seals, see, that's the difference. It's a way better seal, actually. What we do is we're going to turn the cup around and put the seal inside the cup like so. Okay. And then we're going to reinstall the cup like this. Originally the cup was installed with the flat face down. Now we're going to install the cup with the flat face up, because my seal is wider. If we were to put it in with the flat face down, the seal would squish out and it would be bad, and, you know, apocalypse and all that stuff. Anyways, okay, now to put this down flat, you can, if you're good, you can just use the flat face of your hammer, but however, or a large flat-bladed screwdriver, or a socket, you know, a socket roughly the size of that, and we want to tap it down so it's flush. But I just happen to have, this is an old clutch centering tool from back in the days when you didn't get a plastic tool to center the clutch disc when you buy a clutch kit, and the flat face of that works just fine for doing this. So I'm going to use my clutch. Don't have to hit it hard. You want to make sure it's flush. That isn't quite flush yet. Still not quite there. There she goes. Beautiful. Okay. So, then after that, I always like to take my little screwdriver, and this is dielectric grease. It's nothing special, just dielectric tune-up grease. And we'll scrape a little bit off of there. And I'm going to mush it around into the seal a little bit. Okay. Beautiful. Purdy, purdy. Okay. So that side's done. This side looks pretty clean in there. Yeah, not too bad. Now, for the other seal is captured on this shaft here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take my little tiny screwdriver, and you got to get this little clip off. Oh, wait a second. Actually, on these there should be a plastic washer, and it is not there. Huh. Oh, duh. There it is. Make sure when you take that shaft out that the plastic washer does not sit down in that well, because there's a plastic washer. The plastic washer sits on this shaft like so. That's how it should come out, just like that. Okay, so we'll set the plastic washer aside. And now we'll take our little screwdriver and get in behind this C-clip. And don't poke your finger if you can avoid it. Okay, there, now we got the C-clip moving. Get the C-clip out. Put that next to the plastic washer. And then we have a metal washer. And then we have the seal and this little backup plastic. So I'll put the seal over there. Now I like to take a little dielectric grease, not a lot, and rub it on the seal and on this backing piece. Put the backing piece back on, and I grab a seal. There's a nice one. Okay, and we're going to put a little bit of dielectric along the inside of the seal. Not much. Just a little. Now we're going to put the seal on. Like so. And a little more grease. I'm going to put that up on this metal washer. Now these washers have a flat edge and a rounded edge on the back side of them. I always like to put the flat edge towards the seal, like so, and the rounded edge towards, away from the seal. Duh. Okay, now we put our little clip back on, like that. And get my gerber. And we'll push that back in place, like so. Okay, it's on there. Now, what I'm going to do, because this seal has to push into that carburetor body instead of being installed in and hammered in with a holder on it, I'm going to take and put dielectric all the way around the edge of the seal, like so. Now what that's going to do is it's going to keep fibers of the seal from pulling out and pulling the seal in there funky. And we'll put a little dielectric on the shaft, like so. A little on the other end. And then I'm going to take just another touch. And I'm going to put a little on this plastic washer. And we'll put the plastic washer back on, like so. Beautiful. Okay, now we're ready to install the shaft again. Now remember, on this shaft, this screw has to be on top of here. So we're going to put it together so that it's like that. And I'll just gently push her in. Okay, and it snapped into place. I don't see any filaments sticking out, so we're in business there. Beautiful. Okay, so now we're going to put our butterfly back in. Don't force anything. Take your time. If it takes a while, then it takes a while. But take your time. Because if you force it, you can have problems. Okay, there she goes. And we want to look at these holes. Okay, we're not straight here. There she goes. I want to make sure that the holes in the plate are lining up with these holes here. Okay, see that? Now, in order to center this, we're going to have to back this idle adjustment screw off till it doesn't touch the post. So we'll go half, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. Now we got plenty of room there, so that's fine. See, what we're going to do is we're going to use the shaft to turn the butterfly so that the butterfly seats perfectly in the bore of the carburetor. Okay, there it is. It's perfect, perfectly seated in the bore of the carburetor. That's what we want. Now we're going to have to put a little Loctite on these. I always like to clean the rust crusties out of the threads before I do that. Because I don't think the Loctite works real good on rust crusties. Okay. Now I like to use this Loctite blue paste. You can use the Loctite blue liquid, but just make sure it's the blue, because if you use the red, you'll never get those screws out of there again. And if it turns out that you installed a seal crooked or improperly and it leaks again, you're going to have to take it back apart and straighten that seal and put it together. And Loctite red would not allow you to do that. So we'll just put a nice layer of blue on there. Put that in there. Get in there. Okay. A little bit more. Yeah, that's plenty. Okay. And we'll put him back in there, like so. And now it's real important with these to put them together straight. Get them started straight instead of crooked. Because if you get them started crooked, they aren't going to go in right, and you're going to have troubles. Oh, come back here, you. Okay, that one's started. started. Okay. Now that we got them started, I just find it hard to get them started with this big long tool. It's got too much of a fulcrum. Oops. And we're going to tighten them down. Not tight, just snug. And then once they're snug, we back them off a half turn. Okay. That's snug. Back it off a half turn. Okay, now what we're going to do is get all this centered right. What we want to do is we want to push in on the shaft so that the shaft is slid as far over as it can be, and then push down on it so that the throttle valves are as closed as they can be. So pressure this way, and then we tighten her up the last half turn or so. Get in there, you. Okay. Then flip her on her side. And remember this piece, which we were looking down on when we took apart. Okay, we get him over that post. And now all we do is we turn until we come in like that, and put that on. And I always like to do a little blue on this too, just for safety's sake. I mean, it's got a lock washer, so the guy really wouldn't have to, but I'm kind of OCD that way. And then so I'm backwards. No. There she goes. Okay, and again, we don't want to put force on the throttle shaft, because doing that is going to twist that throttle shaft. It's going to hurt it. It won't be a good thing. So I'm going to employ the vice grips again. Oh, they're a little too low. There we go. And then open the throttle just a hair, so we know that those throttle plates are not getting squished against the carburetor body. And then just tighten her up. And voila! That's it. That's how it's done. If you need a set of seals, hit me up. Send me an email. I'll get you a set coming. And good luck. Thanks for watching.